If the Garden of Earthly Delights is the most famous enigma in the history of art, the Haywain is, without a doubt, its darker, more cynical, and perhaps more terrifying sibling. While the garden seduces us with its beauty before revealing the horror, the Haywain offers no such comfort. It was painted roughly around the same period, perhaps slightly later, between 1512 and 1516, and yet it presents a vision of humanity that is stripped of all romance. Here, there is no false paradise. There is only a desperate, violent, and pathetic struggle for something that, in the end, is worthless. The work, currently housed in the Museo del Prado in Madrid, is a triptych, a format Bosch used not just to paint a picture, but to tell a story. A story with a beginning, a middle, and a very definitive, very brutal end. It measures around 1.5 meters in height and about 3 meters in width. And just like its famous predecessor, it demands that we stand before it not for minutes, but for hours. Because to glance at the Haywain is to see a chaotic crowd surrounding a wagon. But to truly look at it is to witness a comprehensive dissection of human greed. At first glance, the central image seems almost absurd. A giant wagon of hay rolling through the landscape, followed by emperors and popes, and surrounded by a mob of peasants tearing each other apart. Why hay? Why are kings and beggars alike so obsessed with dried grass? To understand this, we must look at the painting not with modern eyes, but with the eyes of a person living in the 16th century. We have to peel back 500 years of history to understand the code that Bosch is using. Because it is a visual translation of a proverb that every Flemish person knew by heart in the 1500s. The world is a haystack, and each man plucks from it what he can. This is the key to unlocking the entire work. The hay represents material wealth, status, power, and worldly pleasure. And Bosch is showing us that the entire human race, from the lowest thief to the highest holy man, is engaged in a lethal, mindless scuffle for a handful of dry grass. But the brilliance of Hieronymus Bosch lies in the fact that he never gives us a simple moral lesson. He gives us a universe. And to understand the tragedy of the central wagon, we must first understand where this tragedy began. We must look to the left. The narrative of the Haywain begins, as it does in the Garden of Earthly Delights in Eden. The left panel takes us back to the moment of creation. But if you look closely, the atmosphere here is radically different from the serene, crystalline paradise of the garden. In the garden's paradise, the focus was on the harmony between man and nature before the fall. Here, Bosch is interested in something else. He is interested in the origin of the enemy. The scene is divided into 4 distinct moments, but your eyes are likely drawn immediately to the top. Above the clouds, we see God the Father, seated in majesty. But beneath him, pouring out of the clouds like a swarm of locusts, are the rebel angels. This detail is crucial, and it is something Bosch depicts with terrifying precision. As these angels fall from the divine grace of heaven, they physically transform. Now, in the upper air, they are still humanoid, but as they descend into the earthly atmosphere, they mutate into frogs, insects, and grotesque lizards. Bosch is telling us something fundamental here. Evil did not start with Eve. Evil was already raining down on the earth before humanity even took its first breath. The world into which Adam and Eve are born is already infested. Below this swarm, we see the creation of Eve. God takes a rib from the sleeping Adam, a scene of stillness that contrasts sharply with the chaos in the sky. Lower still, we see the temptation. The serpent here is not a simple snake, but a hybrid, a reptile with the head of a woman, offering the fruit to Eve. And finally, at the very bottom, the expulsion. An angel armed with a sword drives the couple out of the garden. But look at the gate of paradise. In the Garden of Earthly Delights, the landscape seemed open. Here, the entrance to Eden is guarded by towering, strange rock formations and heavy vegetation. The way back is sealed. Adam and Eve are not just leaving a garden, they are stepping out into a wild, uncultivated and hostile world. This panel establishes the context for everything that follows in the center. Humanity is fallen. We are exiled, and we are living in a world where demons are not just in hell. They are raining down upon us, hiding in the clouds, waiting. And this leads us inevitably to the world we have built for ourselves, the world of the Haywain. We move now to the center, the heart of the triptych. Here, the horizon opens up. We see a sprawling landscape under a pale blue sky. But dominating the entire scene is an enormous golden wagon piled high with hay. This is the world as Bosch saw it. The wagon is moving from left to right, a relentless procession that cuts through the painting. And around this wagon, we see the totality of human society in a state of absolute frenzy. Let's look at the foreground. Here we see the common people. They are not just gathering hay, they are killing for it. Immediately, in the front of there is a collection of figures closer together. The most prominent is a grouping in which a woman is raising her fist to beat a man on the ground that is clutching a large armful of hay. A monk holds her arm back, and the fallen man holds his hand close to his face. Close by, to the left of them, is another couple. A man with a crutch and a missing leg is about to be stabbed by a woman for the few straws he is holding in his hand. Lower down, and situated between these two scenes, we see one man sitting on top of another, slitting his throat with a knife, while underneath the murdered man there is a bundle of hay peeking out from behind his left shoulder. It is significant that these three scenes are placed so near the center of the painting and in such proximity to each other. They represent the worst possible results of avarice that people may be driven to. The reality of these evil results is made even harsher by Bosch's depiction next to these scenes of a woman holding her tiny infant and praying, while a young man, we might assume him to be her husband, is lying dead in front of her. By placing this family at the center of the carnage, Bosch forces us to see avarice not as a private vice, but as a radiating poison. The sin doesn't just end a life, it orphans a child and destroys a lineage, proving that the true victims of greed are often those the aggressor never even noticed. The other figures and scenes which Bosch spreads through the composition of the central panel are also illustrations of the various forms avarice can take and the many consequent sins it produces. Though physical violence is the most horrific of all the fruits of avarice, other results are just as aggressive, if not as obviously harmful. For instance, the inordinate hoarding of wealth is a sin against others because it deprives other people of its natural acquisition. We can view the scene of nuns and a monk hoarding hay in sacks as a depiction of aggression towards others. The wagon does not stop. It rolls forward, indifferent to the lives it destroys. The people are so obsessed with grabbing the hay that they do not realize they are throwing themselves under the wheels of the very thing they desire. It is a brutal metaphor for the pursuit of wealth. It destroys the very life you are trying to enrich. But Bosch does not stop at the poor. If we look behind the wagon, we see a cavalcade of horses carrying the most powerful figures in Europe. We see a pope, identifiable by his tiara. We see an emperor with his crown. They are following the wagon, solemn and dignified. They are not fighting in the mud with the peasants. They don't have to. The hay belongs to them by law. But notice, they are following the wagon just as blindly as the peasants. They are part of the same procession. They are looking at the hay, not at where the wagon is going. Their power, their religion, on their status. It does not save them from the delusion. It only gives them a better seat for the journey. And where is this wagon going? Who is pulling it? This is where the nightmare begins to reveal itself. If you look at the front of the wagon, you will see that there are no horses, no oxen. The creatures pulling this load are monsters. These are some of Bosch's most inventive and disturbing hybrids. We see a creature that looks like a fish with human legs. Another is a hooded blend of bird and rodent. They are dragging the wagon, and humanity along with it, directly toward the right panel, toward hell. But the most fascinating part of this central panel is not the violence below, nor the monsters in front. It is what is happening on top of the hay. High above the crushing wheels and the screaming mob, a small group of people sits on top of the stack. They seem removed from the chaos. There is a pair of lovers kissing in the bushes. There is music being played. It looks, at first, like a pleasant scene, a pastoral idyll. But look closer. Standing behind the lovers is a demon. He is blue, with a strange nose that resembles a flute, and he is playing along with the musicians. The music they are playing is not a hymn. It is the music of seduction, of vanity, of lust. On the other side of the stack, an angel looks up toward the sky, praying. But no one is looking at the angel. The angel is ignored. The figures on top of the hay think they have won. They have reached the top of the world. They have the hay. But Bosch shows us that their victory is the ultimate trap. They are just as damned as the man being crushed by the wheels below. Perhaps even more so, because they are distracted by pleasure while being pulled by demons. This central panel is a masterpiece of social critique. It tells us that whether you are fighting for scraps in the mud, riding behind in velvet robes, or sitting comfortably on top of the pile, you are all heading in the same direction. The wagon is moving, and it is moving toward the right. It is overwhelming, isn't it? The sheer amount of detail Bosch packs into a single square inch is enough to keep historians arguing for centuries. If you are as fascinated by this complexity as I am, and you want to bring a piece of this mystery into your own space, I want to remind you that high-quality reproductions of this triptych are available in our store. It's a way to support the channel and to keep this incredible history alive in your own home. You can find the link in the pinned comment below. Now, let's follow the wagon to its final destination. We have seen the origin of evil. We have seen the madness of greed. Now, in the right panel, we see the consequence. The transition from the central panel to the right panel is seamless. The wagon is being pulled by the demons across the frame and visually enters this terrifying new space. Bosch's hell in the Garden of Earthly Delights was a place of chaotic, almost surreal torture. Musical instruments, giant knives, ice skaters. I've actually already covered that panel in depth in a separate video if you'd like to see it. But the hell of the Haywain is different. It feels industrial. It feels like a construction site. The sky is choked with smoke. In the background, a tower is being built. But who is building it? We see demons, strange reptilian and humanoid creatures, working with a terrifying sense of purpose. They are mixing mortar, they are carrying stones, they are climbing ladders. But they are not using normal materials. They are building this tower, this fortress of hell, to house the damned. This is a fascinating shift in Bosch's theology. Hell is not just a place where you go. It is a place that is constantly being expanded to accommodate the influx of sinners. The demand is so high that the demons have to build new extensions. In the foreground, the punishments are specific and cruel. Look to the middle ground, where the procession of the damned continues. It is a mockery of a triumphal parade. We see a bare figure, stripped of all dignity save for a solitary iron helmet, forced to ride atop a cow, while a demon behind him drives a long spear ruthlessly through his back and out his chest, fixing him in a state of eternal impalement. He is not alone. Around him, new souls are being admitted into hell, herded like livestock by grotesque escorts, demons with the heads of stags and birds. They guide the sinners toward the unfinished tower, providing the raw labor for its construction. But this brutality pales compared to the nightmare unfolding further down, near the ominous arch of the bridge. To the left, A hooded demon strides with the confidence of a master huntsman. He blows a long, discordant horn, perhaps signaling the arrival of fresh meat. And indeed, he carries his catch. A human body hangs upside down from a rod slung over the demon's shoulder, trussed up and gutted like a rabbit caught in a snare. Beneath the bridge, the scene descends into frantic violence. A man scrambles in terror, but escape is impossible. He is set upon by a pack of demonic hounds, creatures of unnatural red and green hues. One wraps itself around his legs, sinking its teeth deep into his ankle, anchoring him to the pain. Further into the shadows, another soul is already pinned to the earth, swarmed by darkness. And then we encounter the true absurdity of Bosch's vision, the highlight of this horrific menagerie. It is a creature that defies all evolutionary logic, a bloated, fish-like monstrosity with a gaping maw and bulging, red, dead eyes. But look closely, it has human legs, and on those legs it wears a pair of dark, sturdy boots. This monster is in the middle of its meal. A sinner is being devoured head first, sliding into the wet darkness of the creature's throat. All that remains are the victim's legs, kicking uselessly in the air, protruding from its mouth. It is a final, suffocating erasure of the self, consumed by a monster wearing the shoes of a man. There is no trial here, no judgment day scene with scales weighing souls. The judgment has already happened. The moment they chased the hay, they chose this path. There is a profound hopelessness in this panel. And this brings us to the most chilling realization of the triptych. The people on the wagon, the kings, the lovers, the fighters, they don't see this panel coming. They are so focused on the hay that they don't realize the demons pulling them are dragging them straight into this construction site of eternal pain. There is one final piece of the puzzle that we must not ignore, because, like all triptychs, the Haywain was designed to be closed. When the side panels are folded in, covering the bright colors of the interior, we are left with a painting on the outer shutters. And the image here is strikingly different. It depicts a single, weary figure, the Wayfarer, or the peddler. He is an old man, dressed in tattered clothes, carrying a basket on his back. He's walking through a dangerous landscape. A dog snarls at his heels. In the background, robbers are tying up a victim. Peasants are dancing, perhaps the same kind of careless pleasure we saw on top of the Haywain. The Wayfarer looks exhausted. He is looking back over his shoulder at the dog, but his stick is ready. He is moving forward, one step at a time. For centuries, experts have debated who this man is. Is he a fool? Is he a sinner? But the most compelling interpretation is that he represents the alternative. He is the one who has turned his back on the Haywain. He is not fighting for the hay. He is not riding on the wagon. He is walking a solitary, difficult path. He represents the pilgrimage of life. While the rest of humanity is caught up in the collective madness of the central panel, the Wayfarer is the individual soul trying to navigate a world filled with sin and danger without losing his way. He is us, or rather, he is what Bosch hopes we will be. By placing this image on the outside of the triptych, Bosch creates a powerful contrast. When the triptych is closed, we see the individual struggle. When it is opened, we see the collective doom. It is a warning wrapped in a painting. Bosch is saying, look inside. Look at the wagon. Look at the greed. Do you see yourself there? If so, close the shutters. Be the Wayfarer. Keep walking. Don't stop for the hay. The Haywain Triptych is, in my opinion, one of the most intellectually savage paintings ever created. It attacks the very foundation of human society. It accuses the church, the state, and the common man of the same crime: avarice. It strips away the glamour of wealth and shows it for what it is: dried grass that we fight over while monsters drag us to our doom. Whatever you believe about heaven or hell, Bosch's observation of human nature remains terrifyingly accurate. 500 years later, the wagon is still rolling. The hay has changed. Maybe now it's digital numbers in a bank account, or fame, or consumer goods. But the frenzy is the same, and the wheels are still crushing those who fall. The question Bosch leaves us with is not, what does this painting mean? The meaning is clear. The question is, are you on the wagon? Are you under the wheels? Or are you the wayfarer trying to find your way home? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you find the Haywain more disturbing than the Garden of Earthly Delights? Or do you think its message is too pessimistic? Drop a comment below. I'd love to hear your take.